reading the last part of chapter 3 of A Hero's Guide to Deadly Dragons, and Hiccup has they're just about to open the book that Hiccup himself is keeping about all the different dragon species, which he's called The Hero's Guide to Deadly Dragons, and it gives you all of the different species that Hiccup has been watching on Wild Dragon Cliff. So it's poisonous species, toxic nightshades, and he's drawn a picture of the toxic nightshade. And it says, toxic nightshades only come out after dark. They are so deadly that they have no natural predators. And then there's a venomous vorpant, and he's drawn a picture of the venomous vorpant. That's one that we met in How to Speak Dragonese, and he says, if you get stung by a vorpant, there is nothing you can do. You are as dead as a dinosaur. Apart from, if you remember, the potato. If you find yourself a potato, because that's an antidote. And then poisonous piffleworms. He's drawn poisonous piffleworms. The bite of a piffleworm is so deadly that you will be killed in a quarter of a second. That is quick. Piffleworms, however, cannot stand the sound of whistling, and they freeze like statues when they hear it. That noise. I found that out one day on Wild Dragon Cliff. So yeah, that's the book, and he's got lots of other dragon species in it, but we just don't have room to show them all. Stoic swelled up furiously, his nostrils flaring like a bull in a bad mood. This was too much. Books! My writing books, fumed Stoic the Vast. You are supposed to be a Viking, Hiccup. The horrendous haddocks do not write books. Your terrifying hooligan ancestors will be turning in their graves. What do horrendous haddocks not do, Hiccup? Hiccup hung his head. Horrendous haddocks do not write books, muttered Hiccup, looking at the floor. Horrendous haddocks do not even read books, added Stoic. Books are banned completely, by order of the thing, as you would know if you'd been concentrating. Your last report was a disgrace, Hiccup stormed to Stoic the Vast. You should be paying more attention to your senseless violence, your sheep rustling, your drifting, not drifting around, scribbling away in books. Stoic the Vast was so annoyed he was practically levitating in the air. Books, he snorted furiously. Books are useless, Hiccup. Useless. There is only one book worth reading, one book that is the exception to the rule, and that is How to Train Your Dragon by Professor Yobresh. That is the only book for hooligans. Stoic stopped mid-shout. He was struck by a brilliant idea, and he didn't get many of those. In fact, that book's lying around here somewhere. I know it is. Gobbet the Bell stole that book himself. Books were despised by the Viking tribes as they were seen as a horrible civilizing influence and a threat to barbarian culture. Because they were banned, they were locked up in the great grim Meathead Public Library, guarded by the terrible, hairy, scary librarian and his dreadful army of Meathead warriors and driller dragons. So scary was this librarian that stealing one of those despised books from the library had become a challenge to the bravest Viking warriors, and very few could say they had succeeded in the attempt. I wonder, Stoic scratched his head thoughtfully with a thrown leg. All I have to do is find that book, show it to Bertha, and that'll prove that hooligans are just as good at burglary as book burglars. I bet none of Bertha's warriors have snuffed a book right under the nose of the hairy, scary librarian. That is mine, all mine. Stoic rubbed his hands together in delighted glee, chucked his own egg in the fire, and then remembered he was supposed to be still telling Hiccup. Okay, said Stoic hurriedly, putting his stern voice again, for he was now in a big rush to go and find the How to Train Your Dragon book. I'm still very concerned, Hiccup. I'm going to get rid of this silly, deadly dragon botany book that you have been writing, and I don't want to hear you speaking Dragonese or do any of this book writing nonsense ever again. Stoic stuffed Hiccup's notebook into one of his own breast pockets. I want you to start acting like a future Viking chief. Concentrate on your rougerie and your axe work. Stop being friends with these unsuitable marsh meddlers. He glowered at Kamikaze, who grinned back at him happily. And I'm warning you most seriously. Stoic lowered his voice to its most serious level. If that dragon of yours does one more thing like this, just one more thing, I'll... Stoic racked his brain for a suitable punishment. I'll banish him, said Stoic finally. You wouldn't, gasped Hiccup in horror. I would and I will, said Stoic firmly. You are 12 years old today, Hiccup, so it is time for you to stop messing about and start growing into a proper Viking hero. It's for your own good. Now, where did I put the How to Train Your Dragon book? wondered Stoic to himself. Oh, I can't wait to see baby Bertha's face when she realises I've won the bet. That'll wipe the smirk off those boobies of hers. And Stoic positively skipped out of the room on his way to the Great Hall to look for it. Not a nice man, your father, huffed Toothless's Hiccup, of the spinach off his back with the tip of his waistcoat. He gets very cross. Me, not a ridiculous frog. Well, if you will go around eating people's thrones, they are going to get cross. Hiccup scolded Toothless. Now, Toothless, I want you to think. I really, really mean it now. One more thing, and you are out on your ear. Can you think of anything else you might have done that will get us into trouble? Toothless looked up at Hiccup with puppy duck eyes. Who? Me? He said innocently. He shook his head so hard his horns wobbled. Oh, no way, not me. Oh, good, Hiccup said, relieved. Toothless thought a bit more. He scratched behind his ear thoughtfully and then began to lick the spinach off his hind leg with his forked end. Oh, well, he admitted casually between licks, there might be one tiny thing. What tiny thing? Hiccup asked, his heart sinking. Toothless sighed and stopped licking for a second. He pointed with one claw towards a large broom resting against the wall in the corner. Hiccup followed the direction of his claw, and then he let out a yell his father would have been proud of. There, hidden behind the broom, were the scattered remains of a book. The burned out, stomped on and chewed over remains of a book with golden clasps and fancy delicate lettering and an unusually thick cover, a cover that was torn in half and ripped to shreds with sharp little claws and smeared with spinach-coloured stripes and now read, Oh my goodness. Toothless has destroyed the How to Train Your Dragon book. Whoops. Chapter 4 is tomorrow.